We should be live here. 93. Do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law. We back in here for another live stream by Asha Renew from asharenew.com. And today, or rather yesterday, because it's after 12 p.m., it's about, actually not 12 p.m., 12 a.m. It's after 12 a.m. So speaking about today is like speaking about yesterday. So it's about 3 a.m. East Coast, 12 a.m. West Coast. You already know. So the title of this particular video is called Numbers are the keys to the universe hidden in plain sight. Now, what promoted me to speak about this and to, further elaborate on the numbers, because I'm always talking about the numbers, the numerology, and how it correlates, so on and so forth. Well, today it made a lot more sense to me because I actually was checking my own numerology chart and verifying the numbers. And before I even get into that, just yesterday I just finished up a whole yearly reading for one of the supporters out there. So I did a whole yearly chart breaking down the astrology, the numerology, and how they should go about each and every day, and basically giving them day-to-day strategy, month-to-month strategy, and then yearly strategy. And that took me about 3, 4 days to even complete. So I was kind of exhausted, because that was a lot of work, very, very tedious work. So I was thinking, like all day, I kind of been, I wouldn't say low on energy, but just a little tired, more tired than usual. Then I check my numerology chart, and it just so happens to be a 2 vibration day for me. Then it all made sense. I'm like, okay, I could have easily went, okay, today is just an off day. Today is just this, today is just that. But to completely offset this energy, I just simply looked at my own numerology chart. And once I found out that 2 was my personal vibration of the day, I'm like, okay, that's why I wanted to kind of just chill and rest, clean my mirrors. Because, the vibration of the 2 is the moon. Moon represents your responses, your reflection, right? So I ended up cleaning mirrors. So none of that was by coincidence, as my personal energy of the day resonated with the moon. So today I just been, taking things easy, allowing myself to meditate, to get into trance, and to just take things easy and not to overwork myself, so on and so forth. So I basically just submitted to the energy of the day instead of trying to work against it. Because if I didn't read my numerology chart, I could have easily misinterpreted and tried to overwork myself, or like, okay, my energy needs to be at a certain level, so maybe I should do this and try to get the energy flowing, not knowing that this is just the energy of the 2. So the reason why I want to make this particular video is, let me actually, I'm gonna take those down. And this is what prompted me to make this video, because many days, sometimes it's just for us to take it easy, and some days it's time for us to turn the energy up. As long as you are in tune with your own numerology and not going against the grain, things will work out for you as they should. However, when we are out of tune, because we are not aware of what's going on with our personal numerology, then this is how we end up in situations that we probably should not be in because we were pushing ourselves or we didn't do enough. Remember, every day, as we already know, represents a planetary energy, right? Every day has a planetary energy. Every day has a numerical value. Then every day has a personal pull on you, which you discover by doing your numbers, by calculating your numbers, adding up your numbers. So every day, every month, every year, we have themes. We have yearly themes. We have monthly themes, and we have daily themes. And the more in tune we are with our yearly, our monthly, and our daily themes, this will give us an indication. This allows us to think long term. See, most people cannot think long term because they have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. They have no idea what's going to happen a month from now. They have no idea what's going to happen a year from now. However, with the numerology, it at least gives us an idea as to what the theme will be. So then we can begin to plan accordingly. So if you understand the theme of the year, you can think a year in advance because you already know what to expect because you done already added up, you done already calculated and added up your numbers. Then on a monthly level, because you done already calculated and added up your numbers, you can plan ahead 30 days. And also on a day-to-day basis, now every day doesn't seem like, well, anything can happen. You have no idea what's gonna happen. You're just gonna go with the flow. Fuck all that going with the flow shit. There is no need to go with the flow because there's already an energy set in place for you to operate under, whether you realize it or not, whether you like it or not. Again, this is not about personal opinion. This is strictly dealing with mathematics, which is the language of the universe, and it is coded in every dimension of reality. So, because numbers are coded into every dimension of reality, again, this is why I mean, like the whole New Age talk, the impersonation of the New Age, because we know the true New Age really started back in the 70s. Now, with the whole 2012 and beyond, this is just all a fabrication. So everybody was just, trying to get clout, fame, get a money grab. They came and they went. It just is what it is, right? It was just strictly a phase because they really didn't reveal anything that people didn't really know already because everything had already been laid down. So all they can really do is add on to what was already laid down in order to extract new knowledge and wisdom. We have to pick up where the ancestors left off. However, people like to go their own way and they end up getting lost because if we don't master the foundation, if we don't realize where we were going before, we're not going to realize where we're going now. That's why I always like to bring it back to the numerology. I will always bring it back to the numbers because the numbers will give you the thing as to what's going on around you at all times. So you know how to approach your day. You know how to approach the people because you know what's affecting the people. The people are affected by the numerology of the day. The people are affected by the planetary vibrations of the day. So if you have an idea of what that is and how to calculate all these things, now you don't get caught slipping because you already know what to expect. So, for example, if people have an attitude with you, for example, you're not thinking, well, what did I do wrong? Or that person just has a problem. You just realize, no, this is just the energy that everybody is feeling, and that's just how they choose to express it. So, you don't take it personally. You don't end up getting into an argument with people because you think that they did you wrong, giving you a certain type of energy that you didn't deserve. However, if you did your calculations before you even left the house, then you would already know, okay, people are going to be pissed off today. It may be the energy of Mars, for example, which is a Tuesday. So people tend to be a lot more angry and, a lot more courageous and brave on Tuesdays because that's just the energy of Mars. So you already know. So when you go out into the world and you see that energy or you experience that energy, you're not thrown off guard because you already know ahead of time. So the purpose of the numerology, the purpose of the astrology, the purpose of all of these occult tools is to give us an idea of what to expect. It gives us foresight. So the purpose of the occult is to supply us with the necessary foresight to not get lost in the sauce. Because if you do not have foresight, you're going to get caught up in everybody else's vortex. Because you're going to be thrown off guard. How would you know what energy is coming to you unless you actually decode your own energy? You decode your own astrology, you decode your own numerology, so on and so forth. This is the only way to know the themes of the energy of the day, the month, the year. Right? What's up, Mon 293? So these are the tools we have to attack the world with the greatest amount of energy and not waste our energy. Because again, some days you just need to be cool and be meditative and be reflective. And some days you have to utilize courage and bravery. Some days it's meant for you to be creative. Other days it's just meant for you to be artistic. Right? So you have to know what energy you need to bring to the world in order to make yourself the most useful. Because if you don't know what energy you should bring to the world, we cannot be surprised when the world kind of looks at us like, what are you doing here? Or what are you trying to do? And it's not working the way that we have planned it. Because our planning did not involve the proper calculations. So if your planning does not involve the proper calculations, again, we cannot get upset with anybody but ourselves because it is our job, it is our duty to do these calculations. And when we do these things appropriately, the world will respond in accordance to your planning because you already know the theme. So you know what energy to embody. So for example, if it is the energy of Mars, I'm like, all right, I need to be Aries today, right? It's time for me to be the god of war or Eris, for the feminine currency. Days when you have to be more artistic. Okay, it's time for me to embody Venus, aka Lucifer, right? What's up, Kmo 93? So when you know these things ahead of time, you know what spirit to embody because we have access to all spirits. We have access to all energy. It's just about everything has a time and a place, right? There's a time and a place for everything, right? So you're just making sure that the energy that you choose to embody is appropriate. Because if you embody the energy of war, let's just say on Moon Day or Monday, you coming around like the god of war or the goddess of war, and everybody's being meditative and reflective, you see how that can easily throw people's energy off. And it would be your fault, not theirs. Because it's not their responsibility to know these things. It's your responsibility to know these things. When you say that you are the God, when you say that you are the goddess, when you say that you are the sole controller of your reality, that means it is your responsibility to do these. Said I'm muted. Hold on. Y'all can't hear me? Hold on. The microphone. Y'all can't hear me? Hold on. Never mind. Can y'all hear me or not? What's going on? You're good, Avery. Could y'all hear me the whole time? Is it going in and out? What's going on with the audio? Have y'all been hearing me the entire time? Or is it audio? What's going on with the audio? Because I want to make sure y'all hear everything I'm saying. What's up, 420 God? We hear you. Did you hear me the whole time? That's what I'm asking. Because if we good, we good. I'm going to keep going. I just want to make sure I can be heard. No, I heard you since I came in. All right, well, the audio is good. So I don't know what's going on. But no, with just him? Okay, all right. Just making sure. Just making sure. So whatever you missed, Whatever you miss, you can always go back and rewind the video, right? So as long as my audio is cool, if you miss something for whatever reason, you can always go back and just rewind the video, right? Audio check is good, okay. I'm just making sure on my end everything is good. So if anybody does not hear anything or miss something, you can always go back if the audio is good. So as long as it's good on my end, I'll keep going. So basically, what I'm saying is, if you claim to be the sole controller of your reality, it is your responsibility to know the planetary vibrations of the day. It is your responsibility to know the numerology of the day because this allows you to conquer, not conquer over anyone, but conquer every day to the best of your ability. You can take advantage of the day because you know the opportunities that are available to you. So as I said, you know that okay, today is not the energy of war. Today is a day of reflection. So let me be reflective today. So when you interact with people and people seem a lot more feminine, people seem a lot more lunar, people seem a lot more emotional, well, you know because that's the day of the moon, right? So if you know that ahead of time, then you already know how to interact with people, how to approach people, and how to get what you want. Because you know exactly how to finesse and how to manipulate the energy to your favor because you already know what's going on, which is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Utilize, remember, energy is neutral. What makes something good or bad is based on how you utilize it. And it's not that one energy is good or one energy is bad. It's just about are you utilizing the energy at the approximate moment that it needs to be utilized. That's what makes a energy good or bad. Meaning, once again, if you come with the energy of war and people are being reflective, you can say that is a misuse of energy, and that's what make the energy bad because you're throwing other people's energy off, and you're not realizing that you're doing it because you are miscalculating. If they're miscalculating, let them miscalculate. Remember, it's not their responsibility. Remember, they're still praying to God, right? They're still praying to Jesus. It's not their responsibility, and they never claimed it to be their responsibility. So you really can't blame them because they're not going around saying that they are the sole controller anyway. So if they're not claiming it, it's really out of their hands. Now it's in your hands. And because it is in your hands, you must utilize it. And if you don't utilize it, then you are the one that gets punished. This is how these things work. So if you are the god, if you are the goddess, that means if you misuse your energy, then you are going to get punished, not anyone else. It's not their responsibility. And again, they remember ignorance is bliss. This is what ignorance is bliss really means, meaning they don't have any responsibilities other than just human responsibilities that they put upon themselves. The only responsibilities they have is the responsibilities that they give to themselves. So if they have children, they're responsible for their children because they created their children. If they have bills, they created the bills. So on and so forth. Anything outside of the earthly realm is not their responsibility. But if you have cosmic intelligence, if your crown chakra is activated, then it's your responsibility to know the cycles and the movements of the planets and the stars. If you are the occultist, then you better know what's going on in the stars while everybody else reads the news. Right? They're going to read the news. They're looking at the newspaper. They're looking at the internet. They're looking at the weather apps. Right? You should be able to look at the moon and say, okay, it's going to be a cold day today. It's going to be a windy day today because you know how the moon changes its energy based on the weather. So if you know how to properly read the moon, you can know exactly what's about to happen before it even happens. So while everybody else is utilizing weather technology, which is faulty, you know what's really going on because you know how to read the moon. You know how to read the sun. You understand the planetary cycles in motion. So when everybody else is wrong, you're going to be right because you're taking it to the next level that they're not going to take it to. And it's not their responsibility to do so. And if they don't want to listen to you, that doesn't matter either because it's up for you to manipulate the energy in your favor. So you must embody the proper spirit at the appropriate time if you want to be successful. For example, if we just look at the music industry, right? Because we talk a lot about hip hop, we talk a lot about technomancy, we talk a lot about music. There's a reason why certain albums was released at certain times. For example, if we look at 90s music, right? 90s music has a certain theme, right? The reason why people say, 90s music was the best music, a lot of people feel that way. I'm not saying everybody feels that way, but a lot of people feel like the 90s music, was some of the best music ever created. There's a reason for that. Is it that these people were more creative than the previous people or the next people? Not necessarily. They just were in tune with the energy and the theme that the 90s represented. You had the R&B going on, you had the gangster rap going on, you had many different dimensions. So if you understood the themes, you can get into it and make it happen because you understood the themes. So you knew what type of records to release because of the themes, not because of whether man told you. But again, this is what the big producers know these things, right? The big engineers, the ones on top, they already know this. This is how they know what music to make because they're interpreting the energy. So they know the themes that they need to embody in their music. Then, as a artist, as a lyricist, you know what words to put on the beats based on the theme that is available. So now you're not going to make that type of song with those type of lyrics because it's not the time for that. It's not the season for that because you know how to read time and you know how to read the seasons. So you know what to do at what appropriate time because you know the themes that are available. And if you are out of season, then you must find a way to get in season because this once again represents the difference between success and failure. So you can make the best song that you feel that's possible. I wrote the best lyrics that I can possibly make. If you're a producer, I made the best beat I can possibly make. This is an A1 beat. These are A1 lyrics. But if it's out of season, it doesn't matter. See that, and that's one thing. Again, a lot of artists and a lot of producers, a lot of engineers don't understand. That's why again, we just see this cycle going on because everybody's just trying to be their best. But it's not about being your best. It's about being in season. It's about timing. Timing is more important than skill. That's why we have very simple songs that become viral that require no lyricism. How did that become viral? Because it was in season. They understood the themes and they made a song in accordance to what's going on currently, and that's why the youth resonate with it. That's why they make it go viral on TikTok. That's why they're doing the dances to it. And they made it blow up the way it did because it was in season. So it's like you can say the worst song you ever made could be your most popular song. A song that you personally may hate or just dislike can be your biggest song. Just because that song is in season, you're like, damn, that was a throwaway song. Something that you didn't even really put a lot of energy to. It was a throwaway song, but it became something more than what you thought it was because it was in season. You did it according to divine timing. So when you are able to manipulate the energy in accordance to divine timing, you will find yourself more successful. You're going to be more relatable to the people because the people are not thinking this deep at all, but they will resonate with it if it is in tune. See, that's one thing about the people. The people will never not be out of season. So we can call the people foolish, we can call the people stupid, but one thing that they do have is timing. They know when something is in season because it just resonates with them. It resonates with them on a level even they don't understand. They're like, damn, I just love this song. They don't know why. Damn, I just gotta hear it again, and I gotta hear it again. Fuck it, I'm gonna let my kids hear this. I gotta let my parents hear this. They just like it because it's in season. It's based on timing. Something again could have been a throwaway for you, something that you don't even care about. But then the world takes on to it in a ways, and it's like, again, a lot of artists don't even understand this process. I'm explaining things that most people don't even understand anyway. Because again, this is how the things work. It took me a lot of time to get to this point, right? I had to see the vision before I can articulate the vision. And then I do my best to apply the vision, right? That's why you see, if you look at my thumbnails, you see my thumbnails are a little different, right? My thumbnails are unlike any other thumbnails I've ever produced because I'm doing my creative process is changed because we are in a different season. We are in a different theme. So, okay, my thumbnails have to resonate. What I'm talking about has to resonate. It's just certain things that I should talk about, and there's certain things that I should not talk about. And that's going to be based on the particular theme of the day, of the month, of the year. The Holy Trinity. That's the true Holy Trinity. Do you understand the energy of the day? Do you understand the energy of the month? Do you understand the energy of the year? If you understand that Holy Trinity, you're good. You're good to go. The only thing you have to do at that point is to live it out. And as you are living it out, you're going to gain the wisdom. You're going to get the feedback from the people. The people will give you the feedback. You will get the feedback from the Spirit. The Spirit will let you know. Because again, you're going to know when some things are working and when some things are not working. You're going to get the necessary feedback. That's why we must remain open. You want to know if people resonate or if people don't. That's why we have to do a variety of things. That's why even now I have to do more. I just hooked up my mic. Let me see if I can. Hold on. I just hooked up the mic and shit. I ain't hooked up this mic in a long ass time, right? I just hooked up the mic because I'm like, all right, it's time for me to produce some shit, right? Yeah, the live streams are cool, but to say that this is the end all be all, I would be cheating myself. I'm like, all right, I got to do more. I got to get back into the music. I got to get back into the ASMR. I got to get back into the pre-recorded content. This is the time for that, right? So let me open up my tools. I had to open up the toolbox, right? I got the whole camera set up over here. I didn't set up the camera. I got the monitor over here. So now I can make the pre-recorded videos and I can also see what's going on behind me because the camera that I have didn't allow me to see what I'm doing as I'm recording it. So if you're looking at the camera, you can't see what you're just looking at the camera. You can't see what the camera sees. So you basically had to hook up a monitor to even see what's going on, which is essential if you're making ASMR content because you don't want to go out of frame, right? You want to keep everything in frame. So having a monitor right there allows me to keep everything in frame. So I'm like, all right, I got the whole setup just ready to go because it's the time to do so, right? And it's not always the time. And again, because I haven't been doing it because it wasn't the time for me in particular. Not speaking for what someone else should be doing, but expect to see a variety of content from me. So I'm like, yes, I do the live streams, but I can do so much more, right? We are technomancers here. So we can do many things. We can produce many forms of content. So it's for me to show forth that this is possible, right? So it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to demonstrate it, right? So when I go live, this is just me running my mouth and talking about these things. But you know, when I go into the studio and when I produce that music, when I produce that ASMR, when I do the pre-recorded content, that's me demonstrating like, okay, this is me showing that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. This is me producing some high level content that can't be produced by anyone else. Everyone has their own unique signature, right? I'm able to produce my own unique signature like everyone else, right? Like when you hear a metro booming beat, right? Or you hear this type of beat, that type of beat. These things have their own signature. So you know, okay, that's that person's signature. So we all have our own signature that we are developing, and you have to be able to do it in a variety of ways. And what I mean by do it in a variety of ways is I can do it in music, but that's not enough. I have to also know how to do movies or the audio. It's one thing to do the audio, it's another thing to do the video. All these things have a signature. Like, for example, a Spike Lee movie. I'm just throwing out a random name. It has a certain signature, it has a certain vibe, it has a certain context, right? So, based on your style, based on your context, that's really what people are after. They're after that signature sound. When you listen to music by Drake, Drake has a signature sound, right? All the you could say the top artists have a signature sound that had to be developed. It didn't exist before they did it. That's what I'm talking about. They did something that did not exist before they did it. They created something new. They brought something new to the world. And that's what a technomancer is. You are bringing a new vibe to the world. You're doing something that otherwise would not have been done. You're giving the world something that the world otherwise would have never received. That's what we do as technomancers. We're giving the world energy that the world otherwise wouldn't get because only you have the ability to channel certain frequencies based on your own vibration, based on your own aura, right? The way we filter energy is based on, again, our aura, is based on our energy. So you're going to filter things differently than the next person, right? What's up, Nefertiti 93? You're going to filter things differently than the next person. And again, that's what gives you your unique signature. And I'm just, again, using music, but this can be applied to anything, arts and crafts, whatever your skill set is. You do it in a special type of way that no one else does it. So you really must ask yourself, what do I do better than anyone else? See, most people don't ask that question, right? Because whatever you are doing, you should be the best at it, right? Don't just do shit because it's popular. Don't just do shit with the hopes of being popular or hopefully it works, hopefully it doesn't. You need to ask yourself, what am I the best at? What do I do better than anybody else on this planet? That may not be an answer you just know off the dome because I didn't know off the dome. I had to ask myself that. And in order for me to receive the answer, I had to filter out that. For example, let me explain how it works for me because that probably doesn't make any sense, right? So for me, whenever I want to ask myself something or my subconscious something, I have to become completely still. And when I ask questions, whenever I sense any movement in my aura, then that's how I know, okay, I'm on to something. So I have to completely still myself. Then I use, either I'm using the tarot, either I'm using numerology, or either I'm using astrology. Like, for example, if I say, okay, what am I the best at? I may go through the planets. Am I the best at some type of solar energies, some type of lunar energies, some type of Mercury energies, some type of Jupiter energies? So I'm trying to pinpoint the planet. After I pinpoint the planet, I want to pinpoint the zodiac sign. After I pinpoint the zodiac sign, I'm trying to pinpoint the house. This is just how I do it. I'm not saying you have to do it. You utilize whatever filter you use. But as an astrologer, of course, I'm going to use astrology. As a numerologist, I'm going to use the numbers, right? But that's just what I use. You can use whatever you like. And of course, I'll use a tarot if I need to. So pretty much, because we are the tarot, we are the astrology, we are the numerology anyway. All this is already within us. So that's why, like, again, I just completely still myself. And whenever I sense any movement, I'm like, okay, I'm on to something. So if I'm going through the planets and then when I get to Jupiter, then I sense some movement or my hand may start shaking, right? I have to completely still myself and I'll get slight movements. Same thing when you hold the pendulum and that pendulum starts moving on its own, right? Just with the slightest movements, that's basically what happens, right? So a pendulum can also be another tool if you prefer that way. Also runes, right? So it's not about which way works or which way doesn't work. You choose the method that works the best for you so that you can get the answer that you want to receive, right? Because again, certain answers you may not be able to think your way into. See, we do too much fucking thinking. We think too much. And we don't know shit. We don't know enough to be doing as much thinking as we think. Like, how do I figure this out? How do I figure that out? You know, you can think all day and still not have a solution. You know how many people think about shit and don't arrive at a solution because you're utilizing your logical brain. You're trying to use logic and reason to come to a conclusion that requires your right brain. It requires your imagination. You have to utilize imagination. So you can't think your way into imagination. So that's why we're just so concentrated on thinking like, You remember that statue, the thinking man? Don't be that. Do not be the thinking man. No, we don't need to do that. Utilize your imagination. Utilize a certain type of filter, and you utilize your spiritual senses, your sixth sense, your higher sense. Then you can arrive at answers relatively quickly instead of wasting your time hours thinking and not arriving at any conclusion, right? So I'm just telling you, do not waste your time. Do not be the thinking man. Do not be the thinking woman. Be the one that utilizes their imagination to get to answers that you otherwise would not know. So going back to the original question, when you ask yourself, for example, what do I do better than anybody else on this planet? That's not something that you're going to think, You're not going to figure that out by thinking, 'cause how the fuck would you know? We can only think based on what we know. We can only think based on the information we have available to us. I can't think about something I don't know. But my imagination can go beyond what I know. And my imagination can lead me in the direction I need to go in. That's the difference. So we're trying to depend on or on our limited resources instead of tapping into our infinite resources. And that's the difference. You have to tap into your infinite resources via your imagination. Again, that's why we learn tarot. That's why we learn astrology. That's why we learn numerology. That's why we learn Kabbalah. Because this gives us access to the vastness of our imagination. That's how you answer questions that you're not going to think yourself into. So again, that's just how I do it. So you have to learn how your body responds, how your aura responds based on how you ask yourself questions. So again, this is not something that I just figured out one day. This happened over time, over time, over time, over time. Because again, this is all I do. I'm so much into this culture. This is just what happened, right? That just through dedication, right? So whatever you are dedicated to, that's the route you should go. Whatever you are dedicated to. But what if you're dedicated to the wrong thing? Because you may be dedicated to something that you're not the best in. When you can be dedicating yourself to something that you are the best in. And then that's where you will find success. By dedicating yourself to doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing versus what you think you should be doing. Most people in this world are doing what they think they should do, not what they know they should be doing based on their own destiny, based on their own fortune. They don't know. You can't think your way into what is my destiny. How would you even be able to answer that question with logic and reason? It's impossible to answer that question with logic and reason. You must go into your imagination to answer that question or those types of questions. What was I doing in the past life? How are you going to logically utilize reason to come to a conclusion about what you were doing in your past life? It's not going to happen. What am I going to do in my future life? Okay, yeah, try utilizing your logic and reason, trying to figure out these questions. So you see, so-called spiritual questions, you can't arrive at conclusions utilizing logic and reason. It's not going to happen. You can try, but it's just going to be a waste of time because, again, how do you fucking know? But when you utilize your imagination, now you can answer those bigger questions that the world never asks you, that the world would never tell you. But this is what you must do for yourself. Once again, if you claim to be the sole controller of your reality, this is absolutely necessary for you to know. You need to know the answer to these questions so that you are not wasting your time doing something that you should not be doing. This requires us to trust ourselves, right? We must trust our inner knowing. So let's just say you do have a reaction. Let's just say you get an answer that you didn't really expect. You like, damn, that was the least thing I like. What am I the best at? Then you receive an answer that's like, damn, that's the complete opposite of what I'm doing right now. At that point, you must trust in the source. Do you trust the spirit that just gave you that answer, not the spirit outside of yourself, the spirit within? Do you trust the answer that you receive? Because many people don't trust the answer that they receive. So if you don't trust the answer that you receive, then of course nothing is going to happen. You're going to continue to do what you've been doing. But if you trust the spirit that has given you the answer that you asked, then the only thing to do at that point is to dedicate yourself to that particular path, which may be hard to do, which may be easy to do. But you're the best at something. You do something better than anyone else does on this planet. It's just a question is, what is it? And then are you willing to dedicate yourself to that path to show forth your abilities to the world? Damn, I do this better than anyone else. And I can demonstrate that. It may take some years, but eventually I'm going to surpass everybody because I came here for that particular purpose. If you came here, if you were born to do it, then how the fuck can somebody surpass you if you came here for that very purpose? Nobody's going to be able to surpass you when they just started doing it when they was a teenager or when they was a little kid or when they even when they was an adult. They're not going to be able to supersede you. You were literally put in the body you were put in to fulfill that contract. The height that you are is for a reason. The weight that you are is for a reason. Your skin tone, everything about yourself is for a particular reason. You are more advanced at a particular skill set than someone else and anyone else. But of course, can't no other human being tell you that unless they tap into your spirit. You know, with your permission, of course, right? Because that is something that you have to give somebody permission, and again, that also requires you to trust another person. That's why people get tarot readings. That's why people get astrological readings. That's why people get numerology readings because they are putting their trust in the outside source. Because they may not be at a level. Okay, well, I'm not sure if that's right or not. Let me see, let me get a second opinion. So I know the answer I got, but let me get a second opinion and see if it aligns with the answer I got. Some people do that, and that's absolutely fine. Because if you get an outside opinion and it correlates to what the same conclusion that you arrived at, then you're on to something. Like, okay, well, they said the same thing that I pretty much arrived at on myself. No problem, right? So that's what people do, right? They either get an outside source or they do it themselves. They either build up the spirit within themselves or they get an outside source. Either way is fine as long as you dedicate yourself to exactly what you're supposed to dedicate yourself to. Of course, the world doesn't want you to believe that you are the best at anything. The world wants us just to be employees and work for other people and do regular shit. The world doesn't want you to execute the best of your abilities and you are able to supersede them. Why would the world want that? That's just going to put money in your pocket. That's just going to put success in your energy. That's going to make you the best version of yourself. Why would the world want you to be the best version? Now you are no longer a slave to the system. So you don't benefit the system when you reflect that energy. So why would the world want you to build that energy? That is the pull of Saturn. So you must go to the outer planets. You must supersede the heaviest planet in the solar system, which is Saturn. You must supersede the pulls, the magnetic pulls of Saturn. And then you begin to explore the outer planets of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, which most people never explore. Because once again, Uranus takes you into the mysteries of astrology, which most people don't acknowledge. Then Neptune takes you to the spirit, which most people don't acknowledge. They may believe in God, but they don't believe that they are the God or they are connected to it. You find that out in the energy of Neptune. Then you go to Pluto, which is the energy of death and resurrection. Now that you know who you are, now you must die and be reborn again like the phoenix. That's the energy of Pluto. Are you willing to die and be reborn as your true self? See, most people never go through any of that. They stay exactly in the inner planets of Saturn. They go from the sun to Saturn. They know what their sun sign is, and they know what career they want. That's as far as the average person go. They know, okay, they know their zodiac sign, they know their inner power, and they know what direction they want to go into career wise. But that's as far as it goes, right? That's why we have career people. That's the most important factor in their life is their career. That's the pools of Saturn. They're not going to acknowledge anything outside of that. And it's no problem with that. Again, they are not the sole controllers of their reality, so that's what they're supposed to be doing. Let them do it. It has nothing to do with you. We're unfazed, we're unaffected by what everyone else is doing, as long as we are doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing because we know exactly who we are and what we came to this world to do, what we were born to do. What we will not be satisfied internally until we accomplish. So that's why we really can't judge nobody else's life, even when people that die young, for example. For example, like a Tupac, right? When Tupac was on the planet, he was the greatest rapper. He was the most popular because that's what he was supposed to be doing. He was born to be that. He was born to do that. So he was able to raise to the highest chambers, chambers that everybody else is looking like, how the fuck you even get up there? How did you get all the way up on the Eiffel Tower? How did you do that? It doesn't seem possible. The only way for you to do certain things is if you were born to do certain things. You're not going to be able to open up chambers that you were not meant to open up. If it's not in your path, then you're not going to be able to open it up. It's not meant for you to do so. You should focus on the paths and the doors that you are meant to open up. You are focusing on the path that you are here to master, while everybody else is on their own path. So you're unaffected. You are here to master your own path. But again, this is not going to be figured out with logic and reason. You can't think your way into this. This is why most people are not magicians. Most people are not occultists. Most people are just faking the funk because you can't fake this. Because your life is on the line. That's why. We're not talking about nobody else's life. It's your life on the line. So you, of course, want to be real with yourself. So this is what I mean by you can't fake this because you're going to take action based on the answers that you receive. You're going to dedicate your life based on the answers you receive. So it's no reason to fake it because it's your life at line. Your life is at stake. So you want to be as honest as possible with yourself because it's you that are the sole controller. Once again, it is you who are the alchemist. What makes you an alchemist is you are the subject of your own creations. So we're not talking about nobody else. We're talking about everything that you do. You have to deal with the consequences. So every time you make the wrong decision, you have to deal with the consequences. And every time you make the right decision, you have to deal with those consequences. So you're gambling with your own life, right? So you do your best to be as honest and truthful with yourself as possible. Man, know thyself. We've been saying that since ancient times, right? So it doesn't change now and it will never change. You know yourself because you need to know what you came here to do. What purpose, what mission did you come here to fulfill? And you should waste no time fulfilling that duty, fulfilling that purpose, because we have no idea how much time we have here anyway. Of course, we will all love to get old. But we don't know if that's in our cards. So why not start immediately? We may have 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 70 years. But as long as you are living out your purpose, your soul will be fulfilled. So you're not going to want to have to come back here and repeat this shit and just try to figure this out in a whole nother form, whole nother time period. It's completely unnecessary when all we had to do is utilize our imagination and go beyond logic and reason. The world teaches us logic and reason, right? That's all the world does. When we go to school, we're learning logic. We're learning critical thinking, right? They all, well, you need to be able to critical think. Well, what about your imagination? That's not something they can teach you. That's why. The world can't teach you imagination. The world can't. The world can't teach you who you are and what you should be doing here. All the world can teach you is how to become a slave to the world and to the pulls of Saturn. That's the only thing the world can teach you. Only you can give yourself what you given yourself in the first place. You gave yourself life. Did you give yourself life or did your mother give you life? Or I came out of my mother. Did your mother give you life? Or is your life in your own hands? Did you come into this world? Did you come into existence alone? But again, this all depends on what a person's belief system is. That's why I'm only speaking to people who feel that they are self-created. Did you create yourself? Are you self-created? Because if you are self-created, that means you gave yourself your mission. You gave yourself your purpose before you even embodied this body. You put the spirit inside the body. Yes, your mother gave you your body, your physical shell, but your mother did not give you your spirit. Your mother did not give you your soul. That's something you gave to yourself. That's something that's self-created, and that's something that cannot be destroyed. That's not something that somebody else can give you. So it don't matter how many vessels, how many shells you have, your soul is infinite. Your soul cannot be destroyed. So your soul has certain desires. Otherwise, you would not be in this shell to begin with. The only reason you are in this shell is to fulfill a certain purpose. But we get caught up in everybody else's stuff and, all this personal stuff. So, of course, it's the last thing we're thinking about. When you go to work, how many people are talking about imagination and creativity? Probably very few. They're probably talking about everybody else's, like what this person is doing, what that person is doing, how much money that person has, how much money that person has. But when you ask them, well, how do you plan to embody the energy that you came here to embody? They can't answer these questions. How could they? It just is what it is, right? Ignorance is bliss. Let them be at bliss. It's for you to answer these questions, and only you can answer these questions. Numbers are the keys to reality, hidden in plain sight because there's numbers everywhere. Do you know what number you resonate with the most? Of course, we may know our life path number. We may know that number. We may know that number. But what number do you resonate with the most based on your personal experience with the numbers? See, most people are not even working with all the numbers because most people just prefer to work with the energies that they do resonate with. But they're not trying to master the entire vortex of numbers. For example, you may like the number three. Like, okay, whenever I enter into the number three frequency, I always have a good time. I always enjoy myself, for example. You may hate the number four. Damn, whenever I interact with that four, that shit always fuck with me. So I want to stay away from that. So most people get trapped into their vortex, so they never master the other numbers. They just like what they like, and that's what they stick to. Like people who have favorite shows, right? They ain't trying to watch anything outside of what they like. They're not trying to master what they don't like. But it doesn't matter what craft you have. There's an element of your craft that you don't like. I can speak for myself. Yes, I do music, with the ASMR and all that. But there's elements of music that's just fucking tedious that I don't like. I'm like, oh, fuck. Yes, I like writing the lyrics and all that, but the whole process, I don't like every single step of the process. It's fucking tedious. Mixing and mastering is tedious. It's necessary, but it's fucking tedious. And everybody has their own way of doing it, so there is no absolute way. Sometimes you got to develop your own style. So some elements of what you love doing is tedious. You don't necessarily like that element of it, but it's absolutely necessary for you to master that element. And we already know that to be true. This is you mastering the entirety of your zodiac. This is you mastering the entirety of the numbers. So even the numbers you don't resonate with, you still must master it because you never know when you're going to run into this energy. Somebody may invite you into a studio. And what if that studio is a number four and you hate that number? And like, damn, you're like, fuck, I hate this number. What you gonna do then? You just not gonna go? because you like, oh, that four, I don't like that four. Too late. I'm just gonna call them. I'm gonna cancel. Some people would do that. Like, oh, that four, they will. Oh, that's a message for me to stay away. You know how people do. Oh, that's a sign for me to stay away. You know how motherfuckers do. Instead of like, okay, I may not like the four, but I know how to deal with the four. I know how to operate within that world because I have trained myself to be able to utilize those energies. Yet and still, I don't like it, but I know what to do when I resonate. When I go into these vortexes, I know how to operate successfully. Not because I like it, because I know that it is necessary for me, because I never know when I'm going to be under a certain influence. So why not master each number? Because you never know. You may run into a person whose name breaks down to a number four. What you gonna do? Like, oh, I just don't like that person. That's how most people do. Like, well, I like that person. I don't like that person. That person is my friend. That person is not my friend. That person is, on my side. That person is my enemy. We clearly draw that line, right? But this is just numerology. We don't realize it though. This is just, it's a reason why you don't like that person. It don't have nothing to do with what they did, what they don't do. This is strictly numbers. They don't look at it like that, but that's exactly what this is. So it's a numbers game. If we did know, and it's not for you to pick and choose what numbers that you want to fuck with and what numbers you don't want to fuck with, because you can, but that's what everybody else is already doing. Everybody else is already drawing that line in the sand. You don't have to be that person because you mastered all numbers. So it don't matter what situation you in, what person that you got to resonate with or work with. You know how to get things done regardless because you are the Lord of all worlds, right? You are the Lord of all worlds. You're not picking and choosing what you want to fuck with. That's what the 85 does. That's what everybody else does. I'm going to be over here because I like these type of people. I don't want to fuck with those other people. I want to stay in this neighborhood. Fuck that neighborhood. Uh, I'm going to be in my city. Fuck that other city. This is just human nature, right? But you're superseding the pools of human nature. When you're like, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I know exactly what to do when I enter into each and every one of these numbers. And I know how to keep myself focused. And it doesn't matter who's there, what's going on. I know exactly what to do and what not to do. When you do like that, you will be successful because you're not trying to pick and choose what's that again, it's the fact that people can even think that they can pick and choose shit. This is why people are not successful. Let's just be real. Do you think successful people are picking and choosing who they're doing business with? Or are you doing business with the people you must do business with? Because if you're picking and choosing, okay, I'm gonna do business with that person, I'm not gonna do business with this person because I don't like them or I don't resonate with their message, so on and so. It's like me basically saying, because I make so-called conscious music or because I have a certain type of style, I'm not going to work with a drill artist or I'm not going to work with a person that makes trap music or I'm not going to work with a person that makes gangster music. A lot of people feel that way. But trust me, you will find me on a track with any goddamn body. Because, like, why should I discriminate? If I'm comfortable with my own essence, if I'm comfortable with my own energy, why am I discriminating? Well, I don't do that type of music. I'm gonna stay away from that. I'm like, all right, cool. Let the 85 be that way. It's not for you to be that way. Because if you are universal, then you must show and prove and demonstrate how universal you are. If you say that you are the sole controller of your reality, you must demonstrate that you are the universal code to reality. How you can do music with anybody. That's just like me, like, oh, I'm only gonna fuck with rappers. I'm not gonna fuck with these pop artists or these country singers, or people all the way in the east, or so on and so forth. Like we do it to ourselves. We be drawing these invisible lines, like we really have a say so of what's really going on in terms of we don't control the numbers. All we can do is adapt to them. We're not controlling the numbers. It's like we don't control the planets moving. All we can do is adapt to it. So when it's Aries season, like right now, we're in Aries season. Can't nobody change that. We must adapt to what it means to be in the season of Aries. We must adapt to what it means to be in the season of spring. It don't matter how much thinking you do, you're not about to change the season. You're not about to change the zodiac sign. So the best thing we can do is to adapt. That's why the energy is always changing. We're going from spring to summer to autumn to winter to be masters of all the seasons, to be masters of all the zodiac, to be a master of all the numbers. That's what we're really doing here. Everybody else is thinking, okay, well, in winter it snows, in spring things start to become alive again. This is the time to plant crops. You shouldn't plant crops in winter. See, people, everybody else is just doing it on that type of level, but you're taking it to a whole nother degree, as you should. So that's the message of the day. Numbers are the keys to reality. Hidden in plain sight because this whole vortex is about you mastering and adapting to the things you cannot change. So you know how to integrate with them all. So with that, I bear peace. 93. Do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law. Love is a law. Love under will. We out.